Hi, and welcome back to Guide to SOLIDWORKS. Now, this tutorial is going to carry on from our last tutorials on surfaces. So, in our last ones, we looked at boundary surfaces and lofted surfaces, and now we are going to progress on to look at how we can use the trim surface tool, and also how we can convert a surface model into a solid model. So, we're just going to go through them two processes in this tutorial. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a surface to be able to manipulate. So just starting from here, I'm just going to create a surface to manipulate on here. Right. Okay, so we're just creating a surface on here, and what that's going to give us some sort of scale. So I'm going to go 30, and I'll set a distance with the center of 30 or so. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sweep this along just to create a pattern. So let's go along the right plane. Is it that sketch? Right plane, and sketch on that right plane. And I'm just going to use a spline, no defined shape, just something like that. And I'll give it a size roughly from end to end, so I've got a size that I'm working to. Let's call it 200. Okay, and I will exit that sketch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sweep this using the surface tool. So add in my surface tab. So if you've not seen that, if you right click on any of the tabs across the top, you'll bring up a selection of all the tabs that you can use. So we want the surface one, so I'm just going to add that in there. Using that surface tab, I have all the different icons here, so I'm just going to sweep that. So I am going to select the shape, the outline shape, and the profile to sweep along there, and tick at the end. That just creates a little bit more of a complex shape for us to work from. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, for the case of this, the top plane to do some trimming. Now, it doesn't matter if I use the top plane or if I use a separate one. I could create a new plane above here and use that. Either way, this process that we're going to complete here will work exactly the same way. So, first of all, I'm going to create a shape in here. So, on the top plane, I'm going to create a sketch. Okay, and I'm going to go to the top plane, and I'm going to go normal to that top plane so I can see. Now, using that, I'm going to create a circle here in the center, and that's going to be one of my sketches. I'm just going to exit that, and I'm going to create another sketch further along, again using the top plane, and I'm going to sketch in here. And this time I will use the slot feature, like so. Okay. I'm not after any sizes, I'm just after showing you how this works. So it doesn't matter if it's defined or if it's fully defined or not. Once I've got them in place, I've got my two sketches. I'm going to use them slightly differently. So the first one, this circle, I am going to use to create a surface extrude. So if I use that, I can extrude that shape. Now I'm going to do this from the midpoint, so I can extrude it up and down. So we go to the midpoint here. I'm going to make it larger than the external surface. Now the reason I'm doing this is because if you look at the surface icons, there are no cut icons. So unlike the features, we can't cut material away just using an icon from here. What we need to do is we need to create a new surface and trim away the bits we don't want. So what I've done there is I've created a surface that intersects with this one. Now, to trim the bits that I don't want away, I just want to make a hole through the middle of there. I can use this trim tool. Now, there's two ways I can do it. So if I use a standard trim, what that will allow me to do is select our component. So if, let's say I select this, and then I can decide whether I want to keep or remove material. So I'm going to remove material in this case. And then in this bit, I'm going to click on the bits I want to remove. So that one and that one at the bottom. Okay, and tick there. But what that's done is it's left me with that section in the center, but it's left me with a cap on the bottom and the top. So what I have to do there now is repeat another trim process. So trim, select the tube going through the center, like so, and then click the top and the bottom cap there. And that's two processes to remove the material, to remove the surfaces, so I've got a hole through. Now I can speed that up. Now when we're modeling, the purpose of modeling and using the tools correctly is to speed up the way that we do it and make it more accurate. So that was one method of doing it. So if you want to do it step by step, stage by stage, and remove it a bit at a time, that's perfectly fine. However, we can speed that process up. So I'm just going to undo what I've done there. Okay, so I've just undone them two trims. Now, if I go back into the Trim Surfaces tool here, what I can do, rather than selecting standard, I can select mutual. Mutual just allows me to select everything involved in the trim. So I've selected the sweep and just that extrude. Then in the bottom section, it allows me to select everything that I want to get rid of. So that bit, that bit, that bit, and that bit. And it does exactly the same process, it does it all in one go. Okay, so I'm not having to keep doing multiple trims just to create the one hole that I want to make. Okay, so that's trimming using surfaces. The other way we can trim is using sketches. So I've got this sketch over here, this slot. Now what I want to do is take that through this profile. Okay, so to take this through this profile, what I can do here is go to trim. Oh, it's not playing. Go to trim. Make sure I'm on standard. This won't work in mutual. I've got to be on standard. If I try doing this in mutual, watch, I cannot select that profile. If I go to standard, it will let me select that sketch profile. Once I've got that sketch profile, I'm going to remove on there everything in line with that profile. So if I hover over the surface, it will highlight the things that are in line with that sketch. And it'll let me remove them. Tick, and I've got a hole through there. Okay, now it might not always be the case that you want to do it this way, but sometimes this way works better than others. From there then, I have to decide, do I want to make that all the way through? And if I'm going to make that all the way through, I can extrude through and trim off the edge. So let's follow that method for now. We're just going to stick with that trimming tool process. So from that surface that we've created that sketch on, which is the top plane, I am going to sketch on there. And I'm going to use the sketch that I've just used to trim through there. And I'm going to convert that into an entity. So I'm basically creating a new sketch. So clicked on the sketch, clicked on convert entities. Let's put it in here. I can now come to surfaces and extrude that up to surface, and we'll come up to this here. Okay. Let's see if we can get it up to vertex. Okay, so it's still coming off there. Now, if I'm doing up to surfaces, because this surface at the bottom, it treats it all as one, here's the first point it's hitting, it's going to stop there. So what I'm going to do is I will extrude that all the way through and then trim off the outside edges. Okay, so now I've extruded that all the way through, I can select the surface in the center, my sweep, trim, and remove the outside edges that I don't want. And that's created the center through there. It's created the hole through there. Now, the final part that I mentioned was being able to turn a surface model into a solid. Now, to do that, we need to make sure that all parts of the model are completely enclosed. There's no gaps. So, for instance, the end of here is a gap. I need to fill that. And also on the other end is a gap. I need to fill that. That's a hole through, but there's faces that enclose, so you can't actually see into the model. So I'm going to cap these ends off using a planar surface. So I'm just going to come around, select them edges like so, and planar surface that end, and repeat for the other end as well. Planar surface that end as well. So now what I've done is I've completely enclosed that shape. Okay, so if I show you as a section view, you will be able to see inside there, but see also how it's closed through the planes, through the sections, the surfaces here. Okay, now to convert that to a solid model, I'm going to come back out of the section view, and I'm going to go into knit surfaces. So the knit surfaces tool here, click on there, and I'm going to highlight the model. Now I've highlighted the model, it's picked up all the surfaces involved in creating that model. So what I can do now is I can select merge entities and create solid. And as once I've ticked them too, if I just tick OK there, it will now have converted that into a solid model, like so. And now it's solid all the way through. Now you might say, why do you want to turn a surface into a solid? Well, the idea of SOLIDWORKS is that we're creating models that we can simulate with, we can send to a 3D printer, we can send to a CAM system, CNC machine. We can't do any of that if we're just keeping our models and surfaces. The reason for that is the software just can't output them in that way. So whenever we create a complex shape that we can only do through using a surface model, we need to make sure that we turn it into a solid model to be able to manipulate it and work with it, as that's key to being able to produce any engineering components. So hopefully that tutorial was interesting and hopefully it helped you out. Please feel free to subscribe to the channel, leave any comments, and if there's anything you'd like me to have a look at in the future, please let me know. Thanks for listening, and I will see you in the next video. Like and subscribe, please.